Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. You might find this illustration I found to be interesting. It was entitled Bread by the Numbers. 3,975, the number of feet of the longest loaf of bread in the world, which was made at a baker's party in Portugal in 2005. When sliced, it fed over 15,000 people. 1777, the year wheat was first planted as a hobby crop in the United States. 1928, the year pre-sliced bread was invented in Chillicothe, Missouri, after being worked on for 16 years. 10, the years a family of four could live off the bread produced by 1 acre of wheat. 6, the number of wheat classifications: hard red winter, hard red spring, soft red winter, durum, hard white, soft white. 1.25 to 2. The hours it takes for common bread yeast to double in numbers, making it easily cultured. Yeast is an interesting thing. Remarkably, in the Bible, yeast, or leaven, which is what they had then, was usually considered a bad thing. Leaven was typically an old piece of bread with mold on it, and you mixed it in with your fresh dough and put it in a wet, dark place. The mold worked like yeast to cause the dough to rise. The thing is, in Bible times, they knew what to do, but they didn't understand the process of how or why that worked. So leaven was mysterious. And the common idea was that evil spirits were at work to cause this unexplained reaction. So, in most cases in the Bible, leaven is a bad thing. Jesus, at one point, even uses that idea when he tells people to beware the leaven of the Pharisees. It was his way of communicating that what they were promoting was far from God. This week in our time together, we are talking about the Passover and Easter and the many, many connections between the two and the meanings they share. Both involve meals of salvation meant to draw us into God's action for us, fresh and new every time. Today, we want to explore unleavened bread. You probably already know that unleavened bread was a significant part of the Passover and the Exodus story. On that night of the first Passover, God's people were told to be ready to leave as soon as Pharaoh said they could go. So as they got ready, they rushed to pack what they could take, and the women prepared food for the journey. However, there wasn't time to wait for the bread to rise, so they prepared bread that was unleavened. In modern Jewish Passover celebrations, the unleavened bread is called matzo, and they really resembles a large saltine cracker without the salt. It's bread, but it's flat and hard. It was bread for the journey. It was bread for fleeing. It was bread for new beginnings. Maybe you've never thought about that before. The word Exodus has come to mean leaving something, to come out. But when you come out of one thing, you enter another. God's people were coming out of bondage into freedom and faith and promise. It was indeed a new beginning. Interestingly, this was the bread Jesus was talking about when he said, I am the bread of life. He wasn't talking just about food. He wasn't talking about sourdough or luxury breads we enjoy. He was talking about the kind of bread you take on a journey, the journey of life, the kind of bread that sustains you in the wilderness. It's a bread that doesn't spoil or fail. When Jesus gives himself to us, he gives us what we truly need, what will sustain us in our walk with God. We come with empty hands and hungry hearts. We come not to impress God, but to receive God. Here at Redeemer, the bread we use in Holy Communion is unleavened flat bread. Many churches use flat wafers of bread. It really doesn't matter what kind of bread we use. The point is that the bread we receive in communion is part of our meal of salvation that points back to the meal of salvation at the time of the Exodus. As God acted to save the people then, and the flatbread is one way to participate in that. Just so our meal with that flatbread, in our meal with that flatbread, God continues to act in love to save us now. The bread we receive in the Lord's Supper is simple, just as the unleavened bread was simple. But in that simplicity, Christ gives us everything: forgiveness, life, salvation. He feeds us with himself so that we can walk the road ahead. Back to the numbers. One bread, one body, one Lord of all, one cup of blessing which we bless. And we, though many throughout the earth, we are one body in this one Lord. Jesus is the bread of life. Come, take and eat. God has new beginnings waiting for you. Thanks for sharing these moments with me. And remember to let this day belong to God.